Hey guys, welcome to episode number 585. Today is Monday, so it's Update Monday, and today we are starting to break down the fish room. But right as we started to break down the fish room, we got a new fish in the fish room. So we're going to take a look at that fish today. Plus, we're going to look at the Diatomaceous earth filter, which is currently installed in the 1,000 gallon pond system, and we're gonna get an update on all the plants we've got going on out here. I also have plans to get electrical underway as soon as I have a free minute. So we've got a lot to talk about today. But before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you'd like to help support this channel, you can always go check out myaquariumbox.com and betaoasis.com. Alright guys, we've got a lot to look at. The sun's going down. I think it's actually about to storm here. So we're going to get the outdoor footage covered. Then we're going to head inside and take a look at these fish that we got from someone you may know. So, come along with me and learn how to be a better aquarist.
Alright guys, it is certainly overcast out here. It's the calm before the storm. You can always tell. But we've got Marvin out here keeping watch over the pond, and he's doing an awesome job. In fact, we were able to install this Diatomaceous earth filter within the past few days, and it's up and running now. There are two very small leaks that I need to deal with. One, you can see there's some moisture here. I'm not exactly sure where that's coming from. It might be around this seal somewhere. I'll have to take a look for that. And then the second one is a lot more obvious right here. This barbed fitting is a little loose, and I use this clamp to really get that on there tight. So I may need to tighten this clamp down a little bit more, or I might need to change the barb fitting to something that's a little bit more snug. But regardless, it's not like it's spraying. It's just dripping every once in a while. But here is the Diatomaceous earth filter. I do not have diatomaceous earth in it just yet, but what I did do was hook it up in line with my pump. So as you guys know, I have a pond pump that comes from this 1-inch flexible black pond line here, and that's pumping water up underneath this wall and then up into the bottom of this diatomaceous earth filter. So 100% of the water that comes into the greenhouse is passing through this diatomaceous earth filter. And as you can see, we've got pressure inside this filter. It's reading like 7 or 8 psi, something like that. It's actually low. I think this unit should probably be up around 10 or 15 psi to be working properly. This is before diatomaceous earth has been put in. I wanted to set everything up and leak test it. So when the diatomaceous earth goes in, the pressure may increase. I also may need to increase the pressure coming from the pond pump. But regardless, the water comes in through the bottom, comes up through the top, and then exits out this top line, which then goes back down into the ground here underneath, and then back to my large manifold, 1-inch manifold, which you've seen inside the greenhouse and which we'll take a look at in a minute. The one thing that is slowing down the pressure is a bypass, and I installed this bypass on this pump. You can see it right there. So there's plenty of pressure from this pump. I just need to close that ball valve, that bypass, a little bit more to fine-tune the pressure that I'm getting out of this filter. And now that the filter's installed, I may be able to shut off the bypass completely. It was too much pressure coming from the pump without a filter in line here, but now that the filter's there, we may be good. So that's the filter installed. The one thing, like I said, that I still have to do is coat it with diatomaceous earth, and there's really only one good way to do that. And usually these things are used in pools, and with pools you have like little skimmer boxes, right? So you usually dump the diatomaceous earth in the skimmer box while the pool is running. That way it's just a little bit of powder that coats, or mixes with water, and it coats the inside of the filter, just a little bit at a time. You just pour a little bit at a time until it completely coats the inside of the filter. Now there's a chart on the side which says how much diatomaceous earth I need to put in. I think I got to do around 5 pounds of diatomaceous earth for this size filter, 4 or 5 pounds. So I'll start with that. But obviously the challenge now is this filter is sealed, right? So how do I get the diatomaceous earth in it to prime it? What I was thinking of doing is taking one of these barrels, or like a half of a barrel, and putting it in the pond and sinking it so that just a little bit of water is spilling into it, like an overflow box, or like a skimmer box, and then putting my pond pump temporarily inside here. That would allow me to dump diatomaceous earth in a little bit at a time. Water would still be able to spill in from the pool to replenish the the reservoir inside the barrel, but it would allow me to put just the right amount of diatomaceous earth inside the pump without clogging up the filter, without breaking the pump. So that's the plan right now. As you can see, the pond is still plenty green. The diatomaceous earth filter has been installed for 24 hours, so the water coming back looks pretty clear, but as you can see, there's not a whole lot of flow to clear up this water, and without the DE powder in there yet, it's not making a whole lot of difference. So that's the next step, is to prime our filter, and hopefully we start to clear up that green water. Thanks, Marvin. All right, one more outdoor project before we head into the greenhouse. We've cleared out this space here, which is next to our stairs and by our bulkhead. This used to have a couple shrubs in it, overgrown shrubs. I pulled all of that out, and now it's just a digging spot for my dog. But I've got a couple things that I need to accomplish here. We have the electrical, which is currently running the pond and the greenhouse, and this is just like a waterproof cover and an extension cord. And what I need to do is get an electrician to convert this into something that goes down into the ground and then over underneath my pavers and then over into the greenhouse. So that's a project in of itself. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing the digging or someone else is, but regardless, we need to get some more long-term electrical out here besides just an extension cord. So the plus side of this project is, I think while I'm at it, since I had to clear the ground to get this wire under the ground, I think what I'm going to do is maybe turn this area into a little bonsai area. So if I set up some shelving, maybe get some ground cover back down over here eventually, and have my bonsai here, I can just set them all up on some little shelving type units and keep them outdoors 3 seasons out of the year, and then move them in the greenhouse for the winter. This area gets pretty much full sun for a good portion of the day, so I think they should do well out here, but we'll see. This is just the start of another project that I hope to have complete before the end of the year.
Hey, do you like cichlids? Do you like fish shows? Do you like conventions? You should take a look at the ACA's annual convention. That's the American Cichlid Association's annual convention. This year, it's being held July 18th through the 20th at the Red Lion Inn in Cromwell, Connecticut. That might sound familiar because it's the exact same location that I just went to for the NEC's annual convention. I had a blast at the NEC, and I'm really looking forward to going to the ACA convention this year. Now, if you're not sure about it, you should definitely go check it out. I'll leave a link down below. If you do decide to register for the show, you can use the code YTGJ as your middle name when you're signing up, when you're registering for your ticket. So you put your first name in, then you put YTGJ as your middle name, and then you put your last name, and then you go check out and you pay for your registration for the ACA convention. If you do that and you're one of the first 10 people that stops by the My Aquarium box booth, I'll give you a free t-shirt. So if you're on the fence about it, if you didn't even know it existed, definitely go check out the ACA's convention. Again, I'll leave the link down below. Use the code YTGJ as your middle name if you want a free t-shirt. And who doesn't want free t-shirts? So drop on by. I hope to see you there. My Aquarium box will be there all weekend long. It's going to be a blast. They've got so much stuff going on. They've got speakers. They've got a giant vendor room. They've got a giant cichlid auction at the end of the show. And there's going to be a lot of great people there. I know that I'll be there. I know that Jay Wilson will be there. And I know that King and Queen Cichlids and Michael's Fishroom will all be there. Those are confirmed attendees. So if you want to meet up with any of those people, if you live in the Connecticut area, or you want to take a weekend trip to Cromwell, Connecticut, definitely go check out the ACA's convention. Hope to see you there.
All right, and finally we make it into the greenhouse, and you can hear it's pretty quiet in here. And as you can see, these bulb valves are just barely dripping water, and they were going pretty good this morning, but I think what's happened is we've gotten some algae buildup inside that diatomaceous earth filter, and I haven't bumped it, I haven't bypassed it, so it's starting to get coated up. And the bypass valve that's on my big pond pump is the path of least resistance for the water. So because this has more resistance, it's harder for the water to go through there. Most of it's just blown around inside the pond out there. So we will have to close the ball valve down there and then force more water pressure up here, which will get us more water into these tubs. And hopefully, once that DE powder is in, this water will clear up within the next week, and then we'll be able to start moving fish out, because I'm ready to tear down the fish room and rebuild it. One more project to do this summer. But everything seems to be doing pretty well out here. I wouldn't say stuff is exploding in terms of growth. This greenhouse just doesn't get enough full sun, enough hours of full sun to really have explosive growth with much of anything. As you can see, we've still got the tomatoes here. We've still got the lettuce here. More tomatoes here. Basil, cilantro, and it's all alive. We got our beans over here. It's all alive, but it's not growing like rapidly. So we'll see. If none of this stuff really takes off, we may just be selective about it and grow maybe one tub full of assorted plants and then convert the others over into fish. Because I think I can certainly breed fish out here over the summer, and so we'll just have to balance it and see what's going to be the most effective use of the space. But I'm not giving up on anything yet. We'll just have to give it a little bit longer to see what makes it. I am impressed by the bean growth. It's already halfway up to the side here, and if I just run a string down, I think it will do pretty well. But one thing you'll notice is, even though the sun is going away, we've got a lot of pollen
built up on the outside of this greenhouse. So I'm going to be really curious to see if the rain is able to clear that pollen off, or if that's something that I'm going to have to do with a hose or something. But we've had a lot of pollen over the last couple weeks. And we've got a new tray here of seeds that have started. I actually picked up this. This is a new type of tray. It's a harder plastic. It's a little bit more rigid. I feel like it's something that's going to last a lot longer than the cheap black plastic trays. So I picked up a bunch of those. We've just got one tray here of lettuce. I'm going to restart some lettuce, see if we can get a better crop than this long spindly stuff that's just fallen over. So we'll see how that does. I think the plan here is, as soon as I see more than one sprout coming out of these holes, I'm just going to clip them back until there's just one sprout, and hopefully it gets enough sunlight that it doesn't just all fall over. And then we'll transplant them back over into these net pots and see how they do. Mr. Sweet Potato Head, no real growth other than the roots. We got plenty of roots, but we got no slips at all. So I'll just leave him out here, see how many roots he grows, but not much else. We got our bonsai, we got our banana plant. Still haven't transplanted him. I do want to make probably at least 2 or 3 pots of bananas out of all the little guys that are in there. We've got all of our floating plants in here. Again, they're doing okay. I was thinking of moving some of these out into the pond itself to see if we could get some more growth out of them, get some more sunlight on them. But I'm not sure exactly which ones my goldfish are going to eat. I know the duckweed they'll eat. The dwarf water lettuce they'll probably eat. I don't want them to kill the frog bit because I really like the frog bit. So water hyacinth might be the one to start with and see how it does. I think it's the one that needs the most amount of light anyways, so we'll see. The thing that's been doing the best out here, and the thing that I'm really excited about, is our sensitive plant. We picked up, I think, 4 or 5 of these stems from Uncle Ned's a couple weeks ago, and they have certainly put on some growth. And this is the one plant that I really love, and I'm really excited that it does well in sort of a low to moderate amount of sunlight like we have in the greenhouse, because this is something, if all else fails, I can just keep growing this stuff in here and I'll be a happy camper. So it's grown about this much in the last week or 2. So it's putting on really good growth. Again, I've got it anchored in this floating basket, so it's got a nice place where it can hang out and not get disturbed by the water movement. But that's the look from inside the greenhouse. Oh, we got one more thing to take a look at real quick before we go inside. I got one of those neat little hanging planter thingamajiggers. This is another fabric type planter, but this one hangs from a wall. I thought it would be interesting to try that out, and so we've just got a bunch of spider plants. Some actually need to be transplanted here, but I thought what I would do is fill each one of these things with soil and then put spider plants in all of them, and then see how much of a jungle I can turn this wall into. I have another one of these planters, so what I might do is take all of the baby spider plants, like the one you see right here, and start transplanting those into the second planter, and then have 2 completely full of spider plants. I think that would be pretty cool, and it looks like it does pretty okay with a moderate amount of light, so I'm pretty happy about that. Obviously not something that can be year-round out here, but we'll see how long it lasts, and we'll go from there. Anyways, guys, we got a lot of stuff to look at inside, so let's head inside and see what else there is.
All right, and we are inside. Now, before we go any further, we need to have a little talk. It's time for a little rant, and today we're going to talk about Facebook. If you're a member of any fish keeping Facebook groups, you've probably already heard the news that Facebook has recently started to enforce a policy that they already had against live animal sales on Facebook. Now, this is part of their terms and conditions. It's something that's been there for a very long time. They just haven't done a very good job at enforcing it. And so what's happened is people have created fish keeping groups. Businesses that deal with pet sales are on Facebook all over the place. It doesn't matter if it's dogs or cats or chickens or fish or whatever. Plenty of people are talking about animals, whether they're pets or farm animals or whatever, selling them, trading them, whatever, you know, in their private groups, in ads, all over the place, on their public pages, like their business pages, all over the place. And so when I first heard the news, I sort of wrote it off. I was like, nothing's really going to come of this, because there's so much money in talking about animals and selling animals and the pet trade, right? It's huge. There's no way you can just overnight shut down the entire pet trade on a social media platform. Well, it turns out it's been a little bit more severe than I actually thought it was going to be. I've started to see groups that were public turn to private, hoping that people from PETA or wherever else might not be able to get into their group and see what they're talking about and see what animals they're buying or selling or trading or whatever. I've also seen lots of posts, like for sale posts and things like that, start to get flagged, start to get removed. Even if you're not selling an animal, even if you just say the word fish or say the name of any animal, it seems like posts are starting to get flagged and removed, or they're not even getting approved and posted in the first place. And some of that's moderators trying to live up to this new rule that's being enforced, because they don't want their groups to get harmed as a result. And that's totally understandable, but a lot of it is Facebook itself. Self-moderation, computer moderation. For instance, I posted about selling my Fishroom rack, and I'm not selling a single fish. I'm just selling the rack and the aquariums that the fish live in, and the thing automatically got flagged and it didn't get posted at all. I've also heard of businesses, local fish stores, that are just struggling to survive right now, just posting the regular stock lists. Hey, these are the fish, these are the plants that I've got in this week. Here's the list of them, right? A lot of pet people, a lot of pet businesses aren't savvy enough to run their own website and have all of their stock lists, have all of their product listings. A lot of them just rely on Facebook because it's quick and it's easy and you can use it on your phone while you're doing a million other things. Stock lists have started to get flagged and taken down. At first, I thought it was being flagged and taken down by competitors who are just trying to stick it to everyone else now that they've got, a new rule that they can sort of enforce on their competition. But it seems like a lot of it is just getting automatically flagged and not even getting posted in the first place. And that's like worrying. That's troubling, because there's no way. I mean, Facebook can't hire enough people to actually check these posts and approve them or remove them themselves. There's no way that can get policed. And so what they're relying on are algorithms that are inherently flawed. Anytime the word chicken or dog or fish is mentioned, it seems like those things just aren't getting posted. And that is crazy. That would be like on YouTube, if YouTube decided to enforce a similar policy. All of our channels about fish and aquariums and education and entertainment and everything else would just disappear overnight. I mean, there are groups of tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of people that are talking about fish, that are educating other people about fish, that are trading fish with other people, and yeah, some of them are selling them as well. And all of those people are really starting to hurt if they've relied on Facebook as their primary method of selling.
which is a problem, which is a really big problem. And I think it's one that's going to hurt local fish stores a lot, like a lot more than anyone else. And that's a real shame, because they're the ones that need the most help at the moment. This algorithm that's being employed is not helping local fish stores at all. If you've ever relied on posting a stock list on Facebook, look at some other way of doing that. Look at moving that somewhere else, because Facebook is your enemy at this point, which is really sad to see. Now, I take offense with this at the same time, because I know that Facebook is still willing to take your ad revenue. If you want to post an ad advertising your local fish store, Facebook is willing to take your money and they're willing to post that ad. But if you have a fish for sale, they will not let you sell your fish on their platform anymore. And what that's doing is it's taking the most knowledgeable people that are breeding fish and selling fish and discouraging them from using the platform, which means those people won't be there to answer questions, which means those people will move on somewhere else and leave all of the helpless new aquarium owners to ask questions and not get the answers that they need, which hurts every single new hobbyist who just has a simple question and went to Facebook to try to find the answer. It's a little bit of a disaster. I don't know that they understand the consequence of the action that they took. And I understand the principle. If you want to prevent people from stealing dogs and cats and selling them on the black market or Facebook, if you want to prevent puppy mills and things like that from selling pets in a irresponsible manner, yeah, it's not good to have easy access to a platform like Facebook to be able to sell those animals quickly and to people that otherwise wouldn't have access to buy them. That's totally understandable. But when you completely kneecap an entire industry that's already severely hurting, I think there's a problem there. Now, one other thing to consider is the fact that some people on Facebook are businesses and some people on Facebook are hobbyists just trying to sell their fish. A business probably has a business license, they're paying taxes, they're doing all of the responsible things. A lot of them have storefronts or business addresses and ways that people can get in contact with them. And obviously some of the hobbyists that are just sort of selling stuff out of their garage or out of their basement, they're sort of working under the radar, right? Probably not paying taxes, they're not keeping track of what they sold or any of that sort of stuff. So it's understandable that Facebook doesn't want to be the mechanism where the money is transferring hands. That's understandable, but it looks like everything is going one step too far, and there's been an overreaction to the problem. So hopefully Facebook can figure their stuff out. Otherwise, I think all of those Facebook groups are going to die out and people are going to move on. Hopefully to YouTube, but definitely selling somewhere else other than Facebook. Maybe eBay is going to see a resurgence. Who knows? We'll have to see. But that's the rant. Let me know your feelings down in the comments below and how this decision by Facebook has negatively or positively impacted you.
Alright guys, and on to a different topic. We have some new fish in the fish room. These are a wild type guppy that were collected by none other than JH Aquatics from YouTube. We've got about 2 dozen to 3 dozen fish in here of varying sizes. We've got at least a dozen adult males and a dozen adult females in here, and then plenty of babies. And these were collected from the wild from JH Aquatics, and they were kept in his fish room for all winter basically. And then when the weather warmed up, he mailed them to me. So they've been in here for about a week. They were shipped in 2 boxes through USPS, and all of them except for 2 made it through the mail. And during quarantine, I did lose 2 additional ones, but other than that, they're all doing pretty well. Some really interesting coloration here on the males. We've got some blues, some reds, some yellows, some black dots, teals, whites, like all kinds of really interesting colors on these males, and it's really tough to get a good picture of these because they're moving around so much and they're so small. But yeah, I mean, there's some really cool patterns on the tails for sure. Each one is different, like there's no 2 that are the same, which is kind of interesting. So I'm not really sure what these are exactly. You know, they may have started off wild, or they may have been domesticated and released in the wild, and now they've returned to a wild type. I have no idea, but they do have some really interesting coloration, which hopefully we'll get some better footage of at some point. But there we go. Some wild guppies from JH Aquatics. Now, I've done as much as I can to make sure that these are separated from any other tank. I want to make sure that these don't cross with my anglers, because obviously I want to keep those 2 populations separate. The methods that I've decided to employ in order to do that is a drain sleeve, which I tied over the return line. So I've just got a return line coming in from my return pump, and I just tied this drain sleeve on it, which means that any small fry that somehow made it through my central filtration system, they will end up in this drain sleeve. And once a week, all I'm doing is taking this off and checking it for fish. I haven't found any yet, but I'm hoping that that's going to catch them if they do decide to go through my return line, which absolutely has happened in the past. So that's prevention number 1. And then over here on our overflow, we've got our screen up at the top, but more importantly, we've got a sponge filter down below, which is keeping all of the fry and all of the adult fish in this tank so that they don't make it out of this tank and potentially into other tanks. So some very cool color variations on these fish. I wish I could take each fish and show it individually here, but just some wild colors. And sorry for the focus, this is not the best camera under this lighting condition to capture these fish. But anyways, these are the wild type guppies. I'm super excited about them. We're gonna move these outdoors into the greenhouse along with all of the other fish that are in this fish room, because we have started the process of breaking down this fish room for the next thing. So definitely stay tuned for that. That's gonna be a summer-long project. But for now, new fish, JH Aquatics. Go check out his YouTube channel. Go check out his adventures where he catches these wild guppies. It's pretty cool stuff. And I'm super excited at the color variation out of all of these beautiful fish that he sent me. So thank you, Joseph, for all of these great fish, and I hope to see you soon.
All right, guys, we've got something to talk about now, and this time it is the Blackwater Sampler Botanical box, which is something that Mike and I recently put together. If you're not subscribed to Mass Aquariums, go check out his YouTube channel as well. Awesome videos. He's got a great gigantic Blackwater tank, and him along with JH Aquatics, they are both crazy for Blackwater aquariums. And with my aquarium box recently, we've been getting into a lot of botanicals for aquariums. They're super cool, and there's just so many different shapes and sizes of seed pods and botanicals and great things that you can add to your aquarium. And so that's why Mike and I came up with this idea for a Blackwater sampler box. Now, this is something that you can get by going to shop.myaquariumbox.com. It's a one-time purchase. You can go buy one. You can buy as many as you want, but the purpose of this is to try a whole bunch of our botanicals so that you can throw them in your tank and see which ones you like, see which ones you don't like, and you can go reorder the ones that you do like. And as such, we have a couple different coupons inside each one of these sampler boxes, and one of them is going to allow you to save 30% on any of the botanicals that you want to reorder. So if you get something in the box and you like it and you want more of it, use the coupon code that's inside and you can get more for a really good deal. All right, let's walk through the botanicals that are in this sampler box, because I think it's super cool and it's a great mix of a lot of the best botanicals that we have on shop.myaquariumbox.com. So let's walk through them one at a time so you can see exactly what you get in this botanical box. Now, this box is $20. Actually, I think it's $19.99 with free shipping. So if you live in the US, free shipping. All you have to do is go to shop.myaquariumbox.com, click on the link for this product, the Botanical Sampler Box, Blackwater Sampler Box, and you'll get the details on how to get free shipping for this order. $20, free shipping, comes with $20 worth of stuff and coupons, so you can save another $20 just by buying additional pods at a discounted price. Anyways, first one up is a super cool pod. This is a Brazil nut husk, and it's kind of similar to a coconut, but this comes from the rainforest of Brazil, and we are actually importing these for my aquarium box. If you've ever had a Brazil nut, essentially what you see in here is a cavity where like 8 Brazil nuts are located, and this is the husk that's on the outside of the Brazil nut. You never see these in the grocery store because they just get tossed on the ground in the jungle and get left behind. They're starting to pick them up now and sell them to us so that we can sell them to you, and they are super cool. These things will basically last forever in an aquarium. They're thicker than a coconut, and they've got this awesome textured pattern on them. So you can use them as a cave, for crayfish, for small spawning fish. Anything that likes a hiding place will love these Brazil nut husks. Awesome, awesome botanicals. So you can get one of those. The next one up is called a Trumpet Pod, and these are amazing as well. I love these for shrimp tanks, for crayfish, for baby plecos as a hiding place. It looks kind of funny, but again, it is a super awesome pod that has a lot of texture, a lot of character, and you put this on the bottom of a Blackwater tank, maybe throw some Indian almond leaves around it, and it's going to be something that is an instant hiding space for small critters, and they're going to feel nice and safe and secure in their Trumpet Pod. So you get that one as well. Next one up, and we're sort of going in order of size here, but this one is a Jungle Pod. These are super cool as well. It sort of has these 2 heart-shaped halves to them, and some of them are sort of like, you know, 1/4 open like this. Some of them are halfway open, and some of them are almost closed. But regardless, these things are really cool when you put them in an aquarium. Again, they offer a little bit of a hiding space for your fish, and you put a bunch of these together on the bottom of your tank, and you can get a really cool little biotope going of pods and hiding places. Jungle Pod, awesome. These are the big ones. We also sell small ones, so go check those out. Next up, we have a Bell Cup Pod. These are a little bit more fragile. I've talked about these in past videos, but the small ones are especially strong. It seems like the small ones have a thicker wall, you know, based on their actual size here, and they do hold up quite a bit better.
Again, it's a nice little cave that you can use for very small fish and shrimp and other little critters that like to hang out on the bottom of your tanks. Bell cup pods. Pretty cool thing there. Next up, we've got an elephant ear. Hey, look at this. It's another pod. This one is sort of like a curly shape. You throw this in the bottom of an aquarium, and actually over time this will flatten out once it rehydrates. But if you throw this into like a paludarium, like in an above land area, it will stay curly like this. So if you've got little dart frogs, or if you've got you know, little paludarium lizards or other types of critters, you can use these above water and you can use these below water, and they work equally well. Again, it provides a nice hiding spot underneath it when it's in an aquarium, and it holds up a lot better than a leaf will. These are very thick walled pods, seed pods, and so they'll last a very long time. They're very woody. What we like to go for when we are looking for pods to import are things that are going to last, things that won't break down, things that will stay in your aquarium for years and years to come. So that's the elephant ear. Next up, we've got something called a pear pod, and these are really cool. It's kind of like a pear shape where it gets the name, but it's got this mottled pattern. It's got these two halves, and again, this is just a nice little medium-sized seed pod that looks great. It looks fantastic. I mean, you put this amongst some plants in like a planted tank, and it's just going to add so much more character. It's going to be one of those things where people are like, where did that come from? That looks cool, right? Pear pod. Kind of awesome. So you get one of those. Then we move into some more different pods. The first one here, this is called a Myrtle Pod, and it looks kind of like an acorn, and you get 3 of those. They're pretty cool. They've got these like star-shaped openings. They're larger than like a traditional acorn would be, and again, just adds more character to the bottom of your tank. You get 3 of those Myrtle Pods. Next up is the Coulee Pod, and these are kind of hard to hold on to, so I'll just grab one. But again, you've got sort of this star-shaped opening. It looks kind of like an acorn, but it's open on the end. And again, it's just a pod. You throw in the bottom of your tank, and it just adds character. You just get like a handful of these and chuck them in the bottom of your tank, and it's gonna look cool. So those are the Coulee Pods. Next, we have one that's kind of hard to pronounce. This is the Jacaranda Pod, and these ones are kind of cool. They look like a cat's eye almost, and again, they're kind of woody in nature. It's got 2 different sides to it. One is a very plain side, and the other side has a little bit more character to it. But these are kind of like a little bit thicker than like a potato chip in terms of the thickness or the consistency, but they're very robust. Like, they're not going to break, they're not going to snap very easily. And you throw these on the bottom of your tank, and again, it's going to last a heck of a lot longer than a leaf will, because the leaves will fall apart. These ones are a lot more woody, and so they'll stick around for quite a bit longer. So you won't have to worry about replacing them as often. And then the last thing that we have is one of my absolute favorites for shrimp, and that is the banana stem. And we've got 3 or 4 pieces, little pieces of banana stem here. And these are literally, when people are harvesting bananas, the banana industry, this is usually waste. This is refuse. They throw this away. Instead, what we're having them do is dry these banana stems, and then you can throw these in your aquarium. They rehydrate and they puff up a little bit. They get a little bit bigger, a little bit softer, and then it is a great surface for infusoria and other little critters to start feeding on, which in turn feeds your shrimp and your baby fish and all your other little organisms. One of the reasons why Blackwater tanks are so great, especially for raising fry, is there's all kinds of surface area
of organic material that is slowly decomposing. And when you have a lot of different options for botanicals, they're all decomposing at slightly different rates. And sometimes that means it's releasing tannins into the water. Sometimes that means it's just acting as like a feeding source for your fish as it slowly falls apart. So banana stems are a great one for your shrimp tanks for sure. These ones do fall apart after a few months. You'll definitely have to replace them, but you can get them in large quantities if you so choose. Anyways, guys, that is the Botanical Blackwater sampler box. Let me know what you think. Go hit up shop.myaquariumbox.com if you want to buy one of these. Again, $19.99, free shipping, and you get like $20 worth of coupon codes inside the box to my aquarium box and also to Beta Oasis. So you can get plenty of awesome stuff for free. All you got to do is get the Botanical sampler box. Pretty cool deal. Alright guys, and that's gonna do it for this week's video. As you can see, there is a never-ending supply of projects to work on around the fish room and outside with the pond and the greenhouse. It's gonna get crazy once we start breaking down tanks down here in the basement, and that's happening very soon now that that filter is hooked up. So if you live in the Massachusetts area, and if you want to take home my 40-gallon breeder aquarium rack, let me know, send me an email, reach out to me, because I'm still looking for a buyer for this rack. As soon as we get it cleared out of here, I'm going to completely deep clean this room and reset it for the 50-gallon Zoomed Lowboy fish tank system. I am really excited to get working on that. It's got to get done before the fall rolls around, because we got to bring all those fish back inside, back from the greenhouse. So we've got a lot to do, and I'm excited that I'm going to the ACA's annual convention. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this week's video. As I've said, we got a lot going on, and we've got a lot to do this summer. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep following along as we go through this journey of completely renovating this fish room. It's been 5 years, it's been a lot of fun, but it's time for a change. So that's what we're doing, and I'm really excited to get started. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you want to help support this channel, you can always go check out myaquariumbox.com and betaoasis.com. And if you want to take a second look at this Blackwater Botanical sampler box, you can go check out shop.myaquariumbox.com. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.